We don't know anything. Well, I mean, I certainly don't know anything about that podcast. That thing's dead. I mean,
That's all I know about it is that it's dead. It's
that's literally all I know.
definitely
It's dead.
dead.
Wait, is that like zombie
What?
Chewbacca? Pretty sure he's back from the dead.
Oh no!
Not like this podcast.
Oh no! It's back?
It's back.
Oh, and just as terrible.
Oh.
We hate to ruin it for, I don't know, I was going to say 3 of you, but that might even be generous. I know my coworker will get this because she probably is still subscribed. I don't know
sorry.
beyond that. It's pretty bad when you have a podcast and you're not sure your own mother would download it, but
Here's the thing: is we're job creators because now Steve from Paducah in the FBI office now has a job again. So
Oh man, poor Steve. What has he been doing for the last 2 years?
He was on vacation, and they're like, "Look, man, they just talked about it today about meeting up again. Sorry, you've got to come back from Fiji, but we need you."
well, I was going to say, no, this is his moment to shine because we've been dark for, I don't know, like 2 years, and then when he runs into his boss's office, it's like, hey, we got him.
We got him.
They're going to be impressed with Steve.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We got him. Unfortunately for the few of you listening, that means you've got us again. And us would be Jamie, Brandon, and Cody back with We Don't Know Anything. And I just announced your name, so we already messed up doing the intros.
Nailed it.
Like normally. But
Perfect.
We're very on brand right now.
Extremely on brand. And as we so cleanly and smoothly introduced in the opening, since we're returning from the dead, we thought that it would be only fitting that we talk about zombies because really among the 3 of us, only the slightest suggestion, and we'll go off on that topic. So
Fair enough.
True.
Speaking of which, it feels a little bit disingenuous to say we don't know anything about zombies because 2 of us. Yeah, well, like 2 of us reside in the state of Florida, and one of us is a long-term Florida resident. So, like,
Yeah.
considering, like, I don't know, what was it like? Was that like how? Oh man, now we're getting old. It was like 7-8 years ago with the whole bath salts thing down in Miami.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Florida knows about zombies. I'm just gonna say.
as soon as you said live in Florida, I was like, oh, we're talking about Miami bath salts and eating a man's face.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because we're from Florida, but that kind of feels like that's more of a Miami story than like a general Florida man story. You know, it's
yeah.
I mean,
Florida man bites face is, I don't know. I mean,
if you're sitting here splitting hairs about what's a Miami story versus what's a Florida story, I've just got the Thanos like you can run from it. Florida man is coming for you anyways.
Yeah,
he is inevitable.
True. There's just certain things like I feel like the bath salts thing is like as crazy as that is. It's like, oh, guy took bath salts, went nuts. Okay, that's a thing that can happen. But stuff that's just like alligator breaks into house and like goes for the Chardonnay, which is an actual story, that's a Florida man story. There's just like there's no logic in that. That just felt like you got on a Wheel of Fortune wheel and put a bunch of verbs and nouns, and that's what you came up with.
Yeah, Florida news stories are just the ultimate Mad Libs. It's just like blank does blank in the blank. It's like, all right, I just need some nouns like alligator, Chardonnay, and in the pool room.
Yeah.
So it's just, to
be fair,
there you go.
Florida Clue would be a really awesome game.
But to be fair, there are some states that are trying to get on this, like Hollywood recently. Like the one Mad Lib type like headline I saw recently was Chris Rock is going to reboot the franchise that brought us the Saw movies. And so that's a big Wheel of Fortune kind of thing. That's a thing that could happen, I guess. Yeah.
Well, and I mean,
that's an Onion article.
Yeah.
Well, and when you described the like Florida man Mad Libs, it made me think. I don't remember when it was. I want to say it was like 6 months ago or so. It went around Twitter and Facebook saying, put in like do a Google search for Florida man and your birthday, and then just read the top one that comes in.
Family podcast.
Yeah, well, and I remember there were some with some highly unfortunate, but mine luckily was one that was very clean, very humorous, and had a really good screenshot at the top of it. And since podcasting is a visual medium, I'm sure you'll all appreciate that. But the headline was from December 11th, 2018. Florida man arrested for DUI while lemur and wallaby escape from truck during traffic stop.
Nice. Yeah.
They're coming back on brand to both bridging Florida Man and zombie. I think this is more so of like vengeance from the dead, or perhaps undead. But there was a story recently that obviously we didn't be serious about a certain part of it, but it felt like a really Florida Man thing. There was a Florida Man story about a gentleman who was at Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida. Who essentially tried to play with a flamingo named Pinky, and with that started throwing Pinky around and ended up causing Pinky's death. That man was recently run over and hit by a car and died in Orlando, Florida. Pinky's got shooters everywhere apparently, because there's a certain amount of like seriousness. Obviously, we care for that man and his family. I'm sure I'll need to do that afterwards. But that kind of felt like Pinky was really coming back and was kind of in charge. I mean, he's in charge of the lotto. The man's got money. So Pinky was, for those who don't know, the lotto's logo has a big pink flamingo on it. So whether that's Pinky or not is different. But I mean, he pulls the strings. So
yeah. I mean, you gotta be on the watch.
I just, for closing the full zombie loop, I just really want to know if there was security footage anywhere that would show like a undead flamingo driving that truck. Because having shooters everywhere is one thing, but run over by a zombie. I almost said kangaroo, not a kangaroo at all. Zombie flamingo.
Yeah, definitely. Australia is the Florida of the world. So. Like if Florida was a country, it would be Australia. Kind of weird. Everybody looks at it strange. Founded by convicts. Lots of things that can kill you. It's mostly just large animals that can kill you. It's like, yeah.
Did you guys see the preview for this new movie that's coming out that essentially is about Florida and I was unscared at all? It's supposed to be a scary movie about a Category 5 hurricane hitting an area.
Yes.
And all of a sudden they're like caught in a house that's flooded, and the thing that's stalking and killing all of them are just alligators.
Yeah.
I turned to Lauren when we saw this, who's my wife, and who's now my wife. Last podcast, she was my girlfriend. Spoiler alert, got married, and here we are.
And now back from
anyway. So turned to Lauren, I was like, is it wrong that I'm cheering for the gator? Like, this is a thing that's known. Like, any body of water in Florida has gators.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I enjoyed that. Like, I was not scared in the slightest of, hurricane, Category 5. You stayed there even though it was hitting? Okay, first mistake.
That's on you.
That's on you. I can stay through a 3, maybe a 4, and have done so. But 5?
Yeah. Come on. You know better than that.
And then you're surprised by an alligator?
Yeah. Well, and then
okay.
Yeah, so that's the funny thing, too, is that's, like, how directly is the connection from Sharknado to, okay, guys, we need another animal and another natural disaster. And they think, okay, like, a hurricane would be bigger, it would go on for longer. Well, where do hurricanes happen? Florida. And someone in that room stood up and goes, I know, alligators.
Alligators. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense.
I'm not saying
it's probably more.
I'm not scared. Like, I don't want to have a bunch of alligators, but unless these are like genetically modified alligators with laser beams on their heads, like I'm really nothing like this seems out of the ordinary.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could see like if the house is flooded and you're in water, like they have an advantage over you. But that's always been the funny urban legend that I've loved, that people are terrified of. Like, oh, if an alligator chases you, run in zigzags because they can run like. Who looked at an alligator physiologically, anatomically, and said that thing can run like 30?
Well, yeah. They may be able to, but like they're ambush predators, dog. Like if he doesn't get you with the first bite, he ain't chasing. He's a big lazy reptile. Yeah. Like he's just gonna lay there and go.
He's only gonna attack you if he's hungry. Like they're not just like out there like I'm gonna kill everything. This isn't a honey badger. Like, it's not,
no Dwayne The Rock Johnson out there.
yeah.
I think Mythbusters even did that, where they tested it and they basically showed, like, if you're within 12 feet, like, they can lunge surprisingly far, but if they don't get you on that lunge, like, no, they're not chasing you. If you're running,
that was that.
If you're running zigzags, all you're doing is taking longer to get away.
Fun fact: I'm 90% certain they filmed that at the St. Augustine Gator Farm.
Really?
That episode, yeah. But yeah, that was the one where they like loaded a bunch of chicken into like stockings,
Yeah.
and then like had it run, and like these are fat giant gators that are used to getting fed chicken every day, and they're just like, I gotta go chase it? Nah, man. Nah, I ain't about that life. they just looked at it like, I gotta work for this?
He
Like,
looked at us like, you've got way too
No.
much money invested in me for you to let me starve. I'm gonna sit here.
look, this is what I do. I hide in dirty water, I wait for something to walk near me, and then I spring out and grab it and drown it and eat it. I'm not chasing anything. What about my short little stubby legs makes you think, oh yeah, that guy, he wants to go sprinting on land.
Yeah, that was the best part of it, was like the urban legend said, oh, you know, if you wouldn't think it looking at them, but they can hit top speeds of 30. I'm like, over a 5-foot span.
Just like Gimli in Lord of the Rings. Like, we dwarves are wasted on long distances. Like,
I mean, the thing is, though, it's like, if you're in water, maybe, but if you're in just wading in a bunch of, like, you know, the river and stuff like that, that's, like, still and stuff like that, and you're in Florida, you gotta know.
yeah, there's a gator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one thing I tell everybody, being as the current non-Florida resident. People are talking to me about it, like growing up there, like, oh my gosh, that's so scary. It's like, well, you just assume that, oh, this is a body of water. There is an alligator of some size in this body of water. Like, you just know that that's what's happening.
And if you fall off while you're tubing, just get back to the tube quickly.
Just get back to the tube quickly. Yeah.
Because legitimately, like, and again, like, they don't hunt in the middle of a lake. Like, you might get, I don't know, you might get bitten, but it's not like they're looking for food out in the middle of the lake. They hunt in the
unlikely.
shallows.
Yeah. They're waiting
So-
for the deer or your little chihuahua to come down to the water and take a drink, and then they eat it.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And do us all a favor by getting rid of the chihuahua. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not the deer. That's sad.
Sorry. Yeah.
This is now an alligator podcast. We're gonna have
Yeah.
to bring in.
I mean, it's
zombie
always been a
alligators
gator
somehow.
podcast.
It's
Heyo!
a very pro-gator podcast.
Definitely a pro gator podcast.
So yeah, bringing it back to as I am wont to do, I'll try and guide this thing with chains and sweat.
I'm very confused about what's about to happen.
I am uncomfortable.
Bringing it back to this is it's somewhat untoward to say we don't know anything, seeing as
True.
not the tongue in cheek of we live in Florida and people get their faces eaten, which is a zombie theme as well. But I'm someone who I didn't get started with The Walking Dead in season 1, but I started in season 2, and it's now in 8. Like I've lost track now.
I have not watched in like a good solid 5 years. Like when they got to Terminus, I was kind of like, for whatever reason, that was the last time I watched.
I think the last season I watched was when I was living in Argentina, and it was like part of my connection with American culture was watching The Walking Dead.
So that was I'm
off
trying to
of
think,
iTunes.
Like, that might have been the farm.
2000?
Are you even aware of the prison?
You know what? Maybe I watched the next season. So yeah, they were at the farm. That might have been when they were in the prison.
Spoiler alert,
Yeah.
Shane's dead.
Oh
What?
no!
There's a lot of people that have died since then.
Yeah. That's okay. Rick did the right thing and raised Shane's baby, so.
Oh, that's dark.
So
But
yeah,
Shane
it's
rose
like,
from the dead and became the Punisher. So
Yeah,
right. So
that's a twist on zombies.
I really want the Punisher. Really want his character, like it's an extended universe. The Punisher is a zombie. He just came back.
Yeah.
Although theoretically he'd have to come back from coming back. But
Yeah, I was gonna say it because that show's also canceled or is canceled. So
So just to kind of to talk about like the depth of our hypocrisy, what's the earliest zombie movie you guys remember? like as far as like you seeing it like first time you kind of saw it and all that kind of stuff. Like not the earliest one that like came out that you've seen, like obviously like Night of the Living Dead, all that kind of stuff, but like the first like experience with zombie movies that you can recall.
So I actually haven't seen a lot of zombie movies. I think the first one I ever saw was I Am Legion with Will Smith.
I Am Legend.
Or I Am Legend, that's it.
Yes. Yep.
Sorry, mixed metaphors between Mark chapter 9 and movies. But yeah, I am
as one does.
I Am Legend was the first, and no, I saw World War Z.
Okay.
I think those are the only two zombie movies I've seen.
From what I heard of World War Z, I'm sorry.
It was fine. The book.
If you haven't read that book, you need to. That book is.
I've read the book. That's why I saw the movie.
Yeah.
That book is fantastic. I think I read that while I was in college. I think I borrowed that from.
It may have been
you or you. Yeah, I think that was from you, Brandon. Maybe Charlie. I can't remember.
That's actually I borrowed it from another Brandon, and still have it actually.
Nice.
But no, one of my.
I think at this point you've just taken it from Brandon.
That it's constructive possession. It's exactly.
Yeah.
Or adverse possession. I forget all that legal stuff.
That's good. Great. Glad you're representing me.
Yeah. Well, at least as far as property law. But no, I remember one of my favorite parts of that book was probably the fact that there's a whole section of that book that it features, no joke, the strip of like I-95, I-10 between Tallahassee and Pensacola, Florida. Which, if anyone knows anything about Florida, it's the most boring part of Florida on earth.
Yeah.
It is so bad.
I was going to say,
there's
sounds
nothing.
about right. It is dead.
It's like, well, I guess if you don't want to be chased down, that's an okay place to be because there's nothing there.
There's no people. There's
However, Cody can tell you there are police planes doing speed checks.
That's right.
You got
drone? I got. This was in college, so not a drone. It was an actual airplane. I was going to the Florida State game, decked out on all my orange and blue, and got pulled over. And the cop car pulled out in front of me, and I was like, oh, he got the guy in front. He's slowing down in front of me. This is weird. He's pointing over to the side of the road, kind of like gesturing me. So I pull over, and I'm just like dumbfounded. I'm like, you were already out with your flashers on when I came around this bend. So he walks up and he's like, sir, the airplane clocked you going at this speed. She's like, what? Okay.
Notice Cody protecting himself. This speed.
I think it was just 84. He didn't clock me as fast as I had been going.
Knowing you as long as I have, that sounds accurate. It's like, that sounds generous.
I think. No, that was my second to last speeding ticket. My last speeding ticket was actually in college in... Oh, gosh. What's the stupid speed trap town? Waldo, thank you.
Which, now that you guys have moved away, I can't remember if they're back now, but they got to the point that they ran out of funding and didn't have a police department, and so I'm like...
Nice!
Wow,
that's... Oh, man.
So basically, you're just rolling through double birds out the windows, like...
Yeah. Here's a family podcast. I'm in favor of the police in general, just not the Waldo police.
It just felt like a scam,
it was a scam. Felt like because that's what it was.
I was going to say the department was a fundraiser.
I remember my favorite story of illustrating why that place was just a frustrating place was we had one friend, Tim, who was driving through. I think it was Stark, Lottie, or Waldo. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, one of those.
Driving through. And the speed limit is 35, and they're militant. 36, you're getting a ticket. 37, you're going to jail. And that kind of thing. And so
40 immediate execution.
Yeah, for sure. Death penalty, by hand.
Yeah.
You get no choice. And so he's driving through, and he is like dead on, like going a little bit under, like at 34, like right through. and he sees an officer. It's off to his right, it's off to his side. He sees the officer, and he's like, I'm good to go. Like, everything is going great. And so he drives by and just trying to, just kind of, the kind of, when you strut, when you know that when you kind of pimp the home run kind of thing, you got that kind of look at the pitcher, that kind of thing. He does that to the officer and looks up and gives a little wave. And
no.
And then that officer decides, you know what? This is a school zone, and this joker didn't see the fact that it's a school zone, and is now going to get pulled over because he's going 4 over.
Oh man!
Was when I heard that, I was like, that is the worst. That is the absolute worst.
Well, and the anecdote that tells me above everything, if there's any bulletproof support for resisting the Waldo Police Department, is I want to say it was like a Sports Illustrated story about Tim Tebow and a lot of the like volunteer and missionary work that he did. Right. And there was one talking about, I want to say it was like a trip up to Jacksonville to go to a prison, or maybe it was one of the places along the way, like Stark or something, going to a prison and evangelizing about people. And in the story, talking about driving back through Waldo and Timothy Tebow laying on the ground in between 2 seats because they had more people than they had seatbelts. And it's like, if Tim Tebow himself is evading the Waldo police, then who among us is not?
Oh man, I thought you were going to say they pulled him over. It's like, because I think one of the federal prisons is in Stark.
Yeah. No, I just thought that was funny. In like a national newspaper, they talked about like driving home, and then the noted speed trap in Waldo, and I'm like, yes, that one, that exact one.
Yep. I wonder if that was like an Andy Staples article, because he's a Florida grad. Like, he knows.
Yeah, true.
If you spend enough time in Gainesville, your car gets towed, and you get pulled over in Waldo for speeding, literally at a speed limit with the sign of the amount that you were going, but it's not effective until right when you pass it.
Yeah.
Because that's how they got me. Literally, like, I'm just speeding up to get to the speed limit sign, and as I pass it, like, I'm equal to that amount, but prior to that, I'm going over whatever the previous posted speed limit was. So, got pulled over, and the guy's like, you were going this fast. I was like, yeah, I was just speeding up for the 60. And he's like, well, actually, you can't go that fast until you pass that sign. I'm like, I just write the ticket. I do not want to talk to you right now. Look, like, don't get broy with me like you're trying to help me out. Like, you sit here in that spot with all that tall grass in order to pull people over doing what I'm doing. I don't want to hear your spiel. Just give me the ticket and let me go away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did actually find it was from a 2009 article, and it was not Andy Staples, but
okay.
the opening line of the article: "Welcome to Waldo, Florida, home of a giant flea market, a superb antiques village, and one of the most devious speed traps in the world." Yep.
Isn't Waldo also where several of our friends bought roosters for pranks of various sorts?
I was not invited to these prank parties.
I was unaware.
I mean, I wasn't part of the pranks either. I think... no, I think we all avoided being on the tail end of those. Because I believe it was possibly our friend Tim, among others, who had the rooster cage with the door open set in front of their apartment door. So that when they opened the door in the morning, in walked a rooster. Which was at the apartment complex from which our on-campus organization was banned after we did slip and slide kickball with
I was about to say,
Crisco.
Are you that story or am I? Yeah.
Slip and slide kickball, lots of fun. But if you do use Crisco, don't go swimming afterwards.
I never understood who had that idea for Crisco. It seemed to work, but then it just burned.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
I think that was the year before we got there.
Yeah, maybe. It was not enjoyable.
No. Ooh.
So
baby shampoo.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what one should do if one wants to have a nice evening. If one wants to do a slip and slide.
Yeah.
All right.
Because then it doesn't sting your eyes.
Excuse me, Jamie. What was What's your earliest zombie movie memory?
Man, you slip and slid your way right back into that segue with me. Where'd you go?
You know, that's the segue.
Yeah, so that's
Safe at home.
I'm kind of funny when it comes to that too, because growing up, I always was like a huge weenie when it came to scary movies. Like I just okay. To be fair, I'm still pretty much a weenie when it comes to scary movies.
Okay.
And so like Danielle, my wife, actually like laughs at me a lot when it comes to TV shows that I watch, because she knows like I have no like. What, you know, you'll see a commercial for like Annabelle the Awakening or whatever the one is now, and
no desire for that stuff.
Yeah, like no thanks. I like sleeping at night. But she gives me a hard time because so many of like the TV shows they end up watching, like I regularly watch The Walking Dead, which I mean it's zombies, but it's not like gut wrenching horror the way a lot of those movies are.
Right.
But a lot of my I had at one point, she laughed at me, like the 3 shows I kept up with were an alien show, a vampire show, and a zombie show. And it was
wait, go back. Can I
sir.
just ask, what was the vampire show?
So that was The Strain, which that actually was a little more.
Okay.
It was an AMC one.
I wanted to see if this was like what's the HBO one that was?
I think it was True Blood. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or the originals. I was really gonna make fun of you so bad if that was the case.
No.
Trashy vampire movies. Okay.
Yeah. No, like The Strain was actually, The Strain was probably the one that was more the straight up like horror, like designed to creep you out, make you jump type of, and like The Walking Dead. At this point, The Walking Dead is basically just, it's a character drama set against like, oh, there's dead people in the background now.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting the way it's evolved, but yeah. So when it comes to actual, I remember seeing I Am Legend in movie theaters. But besides that, like when you talk about like Dawn of the Dead or 28 Days Later and a lot of the I've never even seen a lot of those. And so as much as I'm like still a devoted watcher of The Walking Dead, even though like 90% of the populace has dropped off of it, and Cody and I were known to play co-op.
I was going to say, like, when are we going to get into Left 4 Dead?
No. See, that's the thing. Like, I remember my first one, like the first video game for zombies. I still remember watching the very first Resident Evil. Like, I wasn't even playing it. Like, I was watching a friend play it, and like, and I'm sure it's a spoiler, but I mean, it's literally the first scene of the game that's been out for like 30 years. Was
so not a spoiler. Let's be real.
Not really. So I don't really care. And so, but like, you walk in, and all of a sudden, this dude's chowing down on your friend, and like the zombie just like looks up, and he's just like all covered in blood. It's like, I remember just being terrified, and then loving most zombie things after. So the first movie, like I remember, was like Mila Jovovich doing the first Resident Evil. Like I don't think that I had seen anything else beyond that. And then 20 Days Later, and just I love zombie movies.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and so okay. I know like a big thing with zombies ends up being like, so how do you think you would be in this world? And if I know anything from playing video games with Cody would find like every big, like it would be like flamethrowers, shotguns, anything that was overdoing it. But to me a big difference though, because you end up with a completely different experience, because like The Walking Dead. The big difference to me is, are they slow zombies or are they fast zombies?
Yeah,
because you have like
it's going to be problematic.
Right. So you have like The Walking Dead, which is all about like a staggering horde, and basically if somebody dies from that, you get into a bad situation. You get pinched the wrong way. Somebody like double crosses you and locks you in a room or something. But like if you don't get jumped suddenly by like 200 of them, you're fine. Like, they basically funnel them. Like, if you get 3 or 4 people, you just keep, like, chopping away at them. But I remember seeing, like, and I saw ads for, like, World War Z was intriguing to me, because you look at it and they're just, like, sprinting. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is, like, I think the word you used was problematic. You're like, this is terrifying. This is an issue.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing with 20 Days Later, was that you would just be sitting and there would be, like, a scene where they're having kind of a normal conversation. Then the cinematography would just hear, like, boom, 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 and then jumped right through the windows and just sprinting right at you. Yeah. It was still some of the most terrifying jump scenes.
Yeah, like I didn't have a whole lot of exposure to, again, to use the literal term, fast zombies, but I remember, I want to say I Am Legend they ran around too, because that was one of the big jumps early in the movie, was they're driving in the car, it's like zoomed in on the passenger seat with the wife talking, and then all of a sudden, like, splat, one of them hits the window.
Yeah. Well, they only came out at night.
Yeah, they only came out at night. So they were kind of vampire-ish too.
Right.
Yeah. Did either of y'all read or read the book or listen to the audiobook?
Yeah, I read the book. It's really interesting.
It's really different.
Yeah.
So I've heard some that hate the twist in the book and prefer the movie better. I may be the weird one, and I really don't. Just because
You like the book better?
the books, and so the movie's been out for 20 years or whatever, or 10 years or 15 years, whatever it is. But so in the end of the book, it turns out that these zombies are a new race of people, and that this guy has been going and killing them during the day, which is similar to the way vampires and stuff would kill people at night in our own thing.
Yeah.
He has become the legend.
Yeah, and that was the weird thing about the movie, is that they have this idea of that's the name of the movie is I Am Legend, but there's nothing in it that really makes sense of that. There's no sense of why Will Smith would be Legend, but the main character in the book is Legend because he is the legendary thief in the night, that's coming in, quote unquote, the daybreaker kind of guy that's literally wandering around killing everyone in the middle of the day while they're forced to be in this sleep kind of thing, and that they've sort of so it's really interesting. It's almost like humanity is quote unquote evolved into these zombies. It was interesting. I don't know if I think the movie was more entertaining, whereas the book was a little more interesting, of an idea. When you have that kind of story is more interesting to read and oh wow, that's weird. But as far as entertainment, I liked the.
Yeah, it's that kind of play on everyone's terrorist or someone's terrorist and another person's freedom fighter kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of that. So yeah, when I saw the end, I was like, so wait, what in the world is this title about? This makes he's legend because he survived. That's every zombie movie.
What's so legendary? I mean, I don't think I would survive, but
Yeah. So yeah, it's we know that this guy has plot armor. He's going to be fine. So, which side note, I had never heard that term until a year or two ago, and it's become one of my faves. So as far as
I've only heard it recently, and it's become something more. It's funnier to see it in action now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we all know what it is. It's all it's oh, you mean in Star Trek you've got a shuttlecraft full of 3 folks who are main characters and the red shirt?
Yeah.
Who's going to die?
Oh, man. Red shirts. R.I.P. red shirts.
Yeah.
We never do you. Oh, man. So, have you guys seen Galaxy Quest?
Absolutely. It's the best Star Trek movie.
Oh, my gosh. The best Star Trek movie. Yes. Because I think of Guy. Just, his only name is Guy. Who's I'm going to die. That's all I'm good for.
That was Sam Rockwell, right?
You're going to be better at those kind of things than I am. I mean, yeah.
I do show prep, so
Shoot. Hold on. Doing some show prep here in the moment.
Yep, it is.
It is Sam Rockwell?
Guy Fleegman.
Guy.
Which you only hear Fleegman at the last spoiler he lives. You only find out at the very end of the movie. It's so and so or Guy Fleegman as so and so or Crew number 1 or whatever it is.
Guy Fleegman.
Wow.
Yep.
Yes. So
man.
My silence gives me away as being completely naive to it, but I pulled up the IMDb of Galaxy Quest and Sam Rockwell playing Guy Fleegman, and the first quote is Guy Fleegman saying, "I'm not even supposed to be here. I'm just crewman number 6. I'm expendable. I'm the guy in the episode who dies to prove how serious the situation is. I've got to get out of here."
Yep, that's precisely what it's.
In a zombie movie, there's always those people. There's very few. I'm trying to think of there are very few Samuel L. Jackson and Deep Blue Sea characters in in zombie movies. So
yeah.
But yeah, So, side note, you need to watch Galaxy Quest, Jamie.
Well, I was already gonna say, like, I'm 2 quotes further down, and I already
Yeah, wait,
watched
have
this.
you've never seen Galaxy Quest?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, it
Yeah.
is such a fantastic movie.
So I like this in brackets. Excuse me, brackets. Reading a tactical display. Hey guys, there's a red thingy moving toward the green thingy.
Yeah.
What? Red thingy moving toward the green thingy. I think we're the green thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. So
There's
just
so
a
many good, there's
brief-
so many good, relatable quotes in that movie.
brief plot synopsis on that is Galaxy Quest is basically Star Trek. It's a television show, but these aliens are watching it and think it's real, and so they bring Tim Allen's character, who's basically Captain Kirk, to space in order to help save their civilization in a fight against a warrior race that is slaughtering them.
Sounds
And so it's, oh man.
I-
Alan Rickman in it, may he rest in peace,
Oh.
is fantastic.
He's
He-
so good.
Yeah, I mean it's a classic Alan Rickman role, where he's a snobby, like super talented British actor who gets stuck as best known as basically like Spock in this movie, and he hates the role, just hates it.
Yeah.
And so he's like forced to do all these promos and things, and then gets sucked into this world, and he's just all the proper amounts of Alan Rickman disdain for the whole
Yeah.
thing is
His look of disgust is one
Yeah.
to be in the Library of Congress. Like it's a treasure.
yeah. And as
so-
much as he's like Snape to so many people, because I was so late to like the Harry Potter game, he will always be his character from Galaxy Quest. That will always be like my quintessential
Yeah.
I have to really appreciate too, like,
Alan Rickman role.
the obvious, like, Galaxy Quest as the knockoff name, like as it's Star Trek. Reminds me of like when Law and Order SVU has like something that's trademarked and they want to use the theme, but they can't use the literal. So like the example that always jumps to mind is Four Loko, the like alcohol and caffeine drink.
Yeah.
I think that's like banned now, isn't it? Because
I think so.
it's
but
a terrible idea.
Yeah, whenever they built it into the storylines, because, you know, who could imagine that such a drink could be tied into storylines with special victims units? They called it, they literally called this drink, with a straight face, 5 Crazy.
I mean, the only way you could have been better is like Quattro Crazy.
Right.
Like that's the only other option.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
I
man.
died, like, Danielle has watched a lot over the years, and when I heard them talking about, like, blah, 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 they were at this party, and they had 5 Crazy, and I was like, no, she didn't just,
Wait, babe. I'm gonna need you to rewind that real quick. Oh my goodness.
So, one quick note that I have to do as far as like my nerdness is coming back to Galaxy Quest. That did y'all ever see the SNL bit with Captain Kirk where he's like at a Star Trek convention?
No.
Oh my gosh, you gotta go watch it. Okay, so it's essentially William Shatner goes to a Star Trek convention, and he like people start asking him like really specific questions about like Star Trek stuff. He's like, "What are you guys doing? Get a life!" Like, and,
Oh man, that is spot on for that's Galaxy Quest's whole ethos at the beginning.
yeah, and so like it's that, and so it's. I'm not sure if that was the impetus for it, but that feel is throughout especially the very beginning of Galaxy Quest. So it's great. You should watch that. But so what else about zombies should we talk about?
I was thinking we should go to some of our Left 4 Dead nights, where we would turn off the lights in our apartment and play that game. I still remember when Mike came over. Do you remember, Jamie? Mm-hmm. So they had in Left 4 Dead, they had different like super zombies, quote unquote. They had all the 8 regular ones, and they were pretty easy to deal with.
Right.
And then they had the special powered ones. One of them was this giant bloated thing, and he would just
these were
like
boss zombies.
what?
These were like the boss zombies.
Yeah, sort of. some of them weren't like super tough, but like they had special powers. They were a little bit, stronger. But this one was just this big bloated guy, but he would like spew all this stuff over you, and you couldn't see anything. Then your screen would just get covered in this green ooze, and then you attracted every single zombie. So all of a sudden it was like the music gets louder, they all start hoarding and sprinting right at you. And I remember we were playing with Mike, and all of a sudden he just turns around a corner into one of those. He's just like, I just got puked on, like, just screaming at like 11 at night in the middle of our apartment about getting vomited on.
That's hysterical.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah,
the number of shenanigans that happened in that apartment, as far as, hopefully I'm still able to have children. But, and all of a sudden Cody knows exactly what the story I'm talking about, which I don't know if I can even share.
No, probably not, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wait, hold up. Sorry, I'm still on Galaxy Quest.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Are you though?
So, the super nerdy kid who like helps them figure things out, who's over obsessed. His name is Brandon.
Yes. Yeah,
and the actor is Justin Long.
Yeah.
He is old as all get out for how young he looks.
Yeah. How old was he in that?
He was born in 1978.
Yo.
Dude. So he was
like 21.
21. He looked
like
12. He looked 12.
Yeah.
Like, good on you, dude. Sorry, anyway. This is what happens when you show prep in the middle of the show.
Yeah. And it took me a while to figure out what exactly you were saying, because you were like, he looks old as all get out. And I was like, he's 41. You're offending maybe half of
No, he looks young. Like, it's weird that he's...
Interesting.
Wait, he's got that Paul Ruddness. Like,
yeah.
Yes.
Seriously.
Exactly. Yeah, so I, of course, obviously, when you started talking about the big old bloated, the boomer, I think the page calls it, yeah.
Yeah, boomer, that's what it is.
I'm scrolling through the special infected from this game, and it brought me back to a lot of PTSD from that, and you can probably guess from what? The witch.
Oh, yes.
Dude,
now I remember that stupid crap.
Yeah.
So and that encapsulated is exactly why when I talk about like fast zombies, like, no, sorry, this is terrifying, and I'm out.
Yeah. No, that was such a brilliant part of the game, because you would just be walking around like with your flashlights on, and then all of a sudden you just hear that distinct sobbing of the witch, and you're just like, flashlights on, everybody don't know, and like you just completely lose all ability to like actually communicate, and you don't want to do anything. You're just like, because if you turned your flashlight onto her, it would wake her up, and then you were dead. You were just immediately dead, and you just had to like hope that your team also wasn't immediately dead, because
I can't remember. Brandon, did you play this much with us? Do you have?
I played some of it. Yeah, it was definitely a fun kind of arcade style play where it's like everybody needs to play this together. Like you can play it by yourself if you want to, but it's kind of
and it was like and that was what made the witch so ridiculous. Was you can play through most of it just as like, okay, get bigger guns, get better ammo, just blast everything away, just go, and like I was talking about, like you can get swarmed by a bunch and you just start standing in the middle of a circle, like firing everywhere. But when you're navigating through the streets and you hear this like faint sobbing, and she would always be like off in a corner, like this character, as an explainer for those of you who weren't playing zombie video games in like the 07 to 2010 time. She'd be
shame on you.
She'd be like crying in a corner and like very far away, very like off to the side, and you'd just barely hear her. And if you disturbed her by like going too close or shining a light or shooting a firearm near her, she immediately turns into like this hellish, like just sprinting after you, nearly invincible. Like
and she screamed too, didn't she?
Oh yeah, I don't want to pull up a video because I don't know if it's gonna like play over my headset, but yeah, it was this like blood curdling scream, of, like just chasing you, and
once the scream came out, like whoever disturbed her was pretty much always immediately down and bleeding out. Like, she just jumped on them, took them out, and then it was like, okay, she's not immediately one-shotting you anymore, but she's like six-shotting you and attacking really fast, so you better, like, all of you gang up at once on the witch, or you're all dead. And it's like, well, we gotta reload. But like half the time they would put her in a spot that you had to go through.
Right.
Like there wasn't just like, oh, she's over in that random building, well, we could just avoid that random building. It's like, no, you have to go through this narrow hallway, and she's in the middle of that narrow hallway in order to get to the next part of the map.
Right.
Like, you got to figure it out. Good luck. It's like,
that reminds me. Did y'all play Resident Evil?
No, I never had one of the consoles that they were on.
I didn't forever until like the GameCube. They had one where it was like they hadn't made one in a while, and it was Resident Evil like 4.
Right.
It was good. I don't think I ever finished it, but it was fun.
So there was the scene that was an iconic thing that was after the first level scene in the Attack on Titan. Like one of the things, like you would walk past windows, and these dogs would jump through the windows every single time. So it's just like you're just walking through a narrow thing. It's just like, dadgummit, these are windows again. I've got to fight more dogs. It's like for every window there was like 5 dogs that like would just like line up and ready to rock. And it's just like, I just walked through here and these things jump through. You need a door? Gosh.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of Jamie and I played through a bunch of the Gears of War games together.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't necessarily zombie games, but they had like some of the same sort of elements, like the jump scares. You're walking through spots where it's dark, you can't really see anything, and then all of a sudden, you're getting swarmed out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it was not like explicitly. I mean, it was fighting creatures, not dead. But yeah, it was the same type of like you can get swarmed, you can get everybody from all directions. Which that was the side of the Left 4 Dead game, which was just like we said, we would get together at like 11:30 at night, turn off all the lights, and like the TV would be the only thing on in the room, which is, happening upon the witch was one of those ways you could get like 4 or 5 self-respecting, like, early 20s young men to scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wake up poor Alex, who was trying to sleep.
Speaking of, going back a little bit to some of these zombie movies, I just saw The Dead Don't Die today, which is a zombie movie featuring Bill Murray and Adam Driver.
I was going to say, that was that campy one with Adam Driver, yeah.
So,
and that reminds me of another zombie movie I've seen, which is Zombieland.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
So this new one, it's definitely one of the more esoteric, politically minded zombie movies that I've ever seen. There's some really funny stuff in there, but it takes some digging to kind of enjoy it. So if you're just looking for like, this is gonna be a buddy cop comedy, featuring 2 really, pretty funny guys, that's probably not for you. So I understand why it's getting bad ratings. I think it's enjoyable in some sense, but anyway, it's not as like mindless fun as Zombieland.
Right.
So if you're telling me is if I want to watch a zombie movie that stars Bill Murray, then I need to watch Zombieland.
Exactly. Yeah, I would recommend. Yeah, unless we're talking about a very particular person. Yes, that's absolutely true. So think back. Like I don't think when Zombieland first came out, think of all who's in that movie. That like obviously Woody Harrelson is, it was big and has been big since then. But like Jesse Eisenberg and then Emma Stone, even Abigail Breslin wasn't like she had done like Little Miss Sunshine, I think before then.
Yeah.
But like there was, especially Emma. I guess that's mostly Emma Stone and Jesse Eisenberg. That just like I don't remember seeing them in much before then, because that's before that may have been before Spider-Man, at least the second Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield and stuff like that. I think it was before Social Network. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it was before Social Network. Yeah, wait, he was in. Spider-Man?
Who was that, Euron? Sorry,
Jesse Eisenberg?
I'm very good podcasting. I'm getting distracted.
He
Jesse
was-
Eisenberg.
No, he was in the Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
He was
I
the villain.
thought you
in-
s-
Yep.
Which was definitely after Zombieland.
Mm.
Very, very good podcasting when I'm researching the next topic and just fumble on us talking. So, boys, I must say, generally in the previous iterations, we've had a non sequitur sign off, like one of our podcast inspirations, really the podcast inspiration that got us started. In the interim, since we haven't been recording, I know Brandon has turned us on to another podcasting inspiration that we're just not going to name. We're going to be real cagey like that. But in that style, and probably using something that is a month and a half old because I'm 5 weeks behind and listening to their feed. Until next time, girl, your zombie face is falling off.